Hello everyone and welcome to yet another video. Today I am not flying, but I thought I would use some time just walking you through some of the tools that I use to fly in X-Plane 11 in VR. Now, one of my favorite tools really doesn't do anything visually or aerodynamically or anything like that. It's one of those little things, but very, very important things that I have running in the background, or basically not even in the background. It just helps me keep all of my things sorted and makes experimenting so much easier than it would normally do without it. So if you don't know it, X-Plane has a load order. It has what you call an ini file. Let's just get up X-Plane here. Here we go. That's my X-Plane folder. So basically you'll find a file here where X-Plane uses this file every time it starts up to see what order it should load the sim in. And it basically determines how things are layered on top of each other, and when it gets loaded. So let's take a look here. Now, even this here is one of the reasons. Here you go, scenery packs ini file. So I can try and open it in Notepad, and it will give you some information about what it does. Okay, so it basically, this here file tells that this here goes on the very top. Okay, so when you have your scenery, it's like a layer cake or a burger, and it's built up with the mesh and the ortho imagery of the ground. You know, you have your lakes and you have your hills, and the mesh underneath builds the terrain. And then you have your overlay. That's like information on where a car should drive, where houses, where the sim should place an artificial house, and so on. And these, of course, can then again be further optimized. So in areas around Payware Airport, you might have they might have made some specific buildings, some landmarks, and that needs to go even on top of the generic ones. And on the very top of all of this, you would have airports, of course. If you have that below, then the airport would not be visible; it'd be gone. Okay, because it would be loaded below, say, the terrain or stuff like that. So the airports need to go on top. And the first thing that you learned back in the day was that all of your airports should start with A, as you see. I have done here. This file is called A. But basically, this here is the load order, okay? And if you look here, you would see that the load order is nice and tidy and correct, and you have all of the ortho imagery on the very bottom here, okay? And below that again, you will have some terrain here and mesh, okay? Just like it should be. So we have HD mesh all the way at the bottom, and then your imagery here. And if you go up, I have a lot of ortho. So let's just zoom up here. Boom, 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 and then you have your overlays, okay, which is like the third rough layer of the cake. And then you'll have your libraries. That's where like the overlays basically, and a lot of the scenery will get its information. So here you have some night lights, and have like HD forests instead of ordinary forest. And a lot of these libraries holds a lot of information. It can be like a lighting post, it could be like a guy on a motorbike, it could be an aircraft, it could be anything. And a lot of freeware developers use these libraries because they are open to use. They use those to build like VFR areas or airports and stuff like that. So it's very important to gather libraries, and they're good to have. They don't take up much space. So I have a lot of libraries, and you can find that on the xplane.org forums. Just do a search. But back to the topic here. So you'll see now we're coming on to the airports on the very top. And there's all the airports I have currently. Okay. So normally you would be sitting in Notepad or some other editing tool, and you'll be editing the order of the this file. So if I take and copy this and I move this beneath and I load up explain, then Berlin Tegel would not load properly. It'll be gone, okay, because it would be below all of the other stuff, which I'm obviously not going to do. But there's a smarter way and a more time-saving way to do this. So let's shut this down. As you can see, I have a lot of stuff. So imagine having to sit and sort all of this out. Imagine something happened, you had to reset, and it would take forever, right? So Xorganizer does all of this stuff for you automatically, and it keeps things sorted really nice and tidy. Okay. So what you'll end up when you install Xorganizer, it will take you through a very short setup tutorial. Just go along with it, and it'll set it up correctly for you. Then you will start the program before you start explain, and you will from there on out always start explain using this program. Simply click here and you will start explain. And if you decide to install some new scenery, maybe a new airport or some new ortho, then the next time you start up Xorganizer, it will read that file and it will put it in the correct position in your ini file, which was the file I was showing you before. Now the very clever thing about this is flight simmers, we tend to always tweak. We always want the unobtainable. Now if you're a 2D screen player, you want that photorealism, don't you? You want it to be as photorealistic as possible. So you'll never be satisfied, and if you're flying in VR, you'll never be satisfied. That's the key. So you'll always be tweaking, turning off and on, and adding up, and a lot of this work goes on here. So what you can do to test, okay, I have some bad frames, and I can take a concrete example. I fly a lot of the time in Norway, right? And I tend to get had some issues with the frames dropping when flying in Norway, especially over mountainous areas. There's very poor ortho imagery for Norway. I haven't been able to obtain any good ones. So a lot of the areas, it's mountains anyways, not much road or city-wise. So I'm quite happy using the mesh, but they're quite beautiful mountains. So I want them to look at their best. So of course I used the Ultra HD mesh. Now it did come with a warning that it could be FPS expensive, but I thought, let's give it a go, and I used it, and I had these lag spikes, and in the horizon I could see tiles not being loaded in until almost too late, so it really clogged up all of my clogged up the entire simulator basically, and I even had some issues with arriving in airports that hadn't loaded in properly. And you know, when you're on short final and you still don't have PAPIs, and you're basically landing on a satellite photo, that's not good. That's not what you want. So I thought, hey, I don't want to use the mesh, but I also spent a lot of time downloading it. Don't really want to delete it, and I want to keep it just maybe, you never know, some update will come out, it will make it give you even more performance out of your computer, and you can try using it again. So what I did is I wanted to turn it off. Now instead of going into the scenery folder and removing the folder and back and forth, I just clicked here, boom, gone. Okay, and it just sits there, and I can turn it back on whenever I want to try it. Okay. It's the same with the library. So if I have a library that I don't like, I can turn it off, and it will be as if it wasn't there. And even the same with airports. Okay. So I have for some reason turned off Orly. Now I can't really remember why I did that. I'm sure there's a very good reason. I think I'll have to go back at it, but there's a reason behind the stuff I do most of the time anyway. But you see, it makes it very easy for you to test. So if you are having, I did see this guy on Facebook, on the X-Plane 11 group the other day, giving up on trying X-Plane in virtual reality. And what I think happens is that most guys, they have played on a 2D screen for maybe 1 year or half a year or whatever, but they have played some time on 2D, and they have built up quite a lot of files like this, right? And then they get their hands on VR, they get excited and they load up the sim, and they think, okay, it's just about turning down the dials here and there, but they're still getting issues with the FPS. And basically what I would advise you to do if you're new to VR is get this tool, turn everything on, delete your preferences folder, your shaders folder. I'll even show you where they are. So let's go here. So you'll go to your output, a lot of screenshots. So you have your pref folder, delete it, same with the shaders, delete this here, and restart brand new, and use a few other tools. I'll make it a separate video, but use default X-Plane, use that as your base, and then start adding, opening up one at a time, like so. One library or one overlay. Let's do classic one like overlays. Here we go, close and overlays. So overlays tend to, depending on what it is and who developed it and so on, some overlays are obviously made for people flying 2D in a Cessna close to the ground. So trying to fly a complex aircraft like a 737 or an Airbus on short final with a high definition VFR overlay enabled will give you some issues, okay? So what you can do is, okay, I want to try flying in Denmark with a Denmark Pro disabled. Then you do like this, okay? Is my FPS better? Yeah, it is. Okay, found the problem. But what you would do if you start up with virtual reality from the beginning, go turn everything off, delete your preferences, your shaders, and then add one at a time. If you add like 10, you wouldn't know which one was causing the problem, right? So start turning it up slowly, and at some point you'll reach a point where you will see the FPS start dropping and the performance will go down, especially in certain areas, and that would be where your balance point is, and every system is different, so there isn't really any good guidance on that. I think the best guidance I could give is what I said here. Go to default X-Plane, start out that way, and then build your way up by enabling. And a tool like Xorganizer will do that for you, and at a very cheap price. Like it's guys, it's not even a meal at your local McDonald's. 2 cups of coffee at a cafe, okay? And it will save you so much time, and it will make it very easy to keep you cool, because what tends to happen is that you start out with a little, and then you discover the X-Plane forum, and you'll be downloading galore, and you'll be installing stuff, and soon enough you'll have lost you'll have lost your way in the jungle of libraries, overlays, tiles and whatnot. So this tool will help you keep you cool. You can even save some profiles, so that okay, I like this setting, save it, and then you can tweak and revert back to an old setting if you'd like to do that. You can overview your plugins. These are basically the most important things with regards to FPS. So here you have my plugins. You see I have turned live traffic on because I'm flying on a VATSIM. I don't use a Squawk box anymore. I've just disabled it for now. Maybe I'll delete it later on. And if I want to try without a certain plugin, I'll just disable it by the click of a button. So autogate off, no more autogate. Okay, autogate on. And the only thing you have to do is restart X-Plane. So close down X-Plane, turn it off, start it up, and it'll start up without, okay? That's all you need to do. No need to tanking around in your folders. You can have a good overview of your airports. So look, here you have all the airports that you have currently. Now, this does not show the... here we go. This does not show the global airports. So you see here, it's ticked off for hidden. Shows up of all the custom airports that I have downloaded, and you can even see where they're from. Like this is, you can see this is Stockholm, and it's with static aircraft from TDG. If you go here, you'll find Cardiff, Orbex. So you'll have all sorts of information. You can even see disabled airports. You can disable them as well. So you can do a lot of stuff here. You can also get them on a list here. What the Xorganizer will also do is that if you do something wrong, if something is wrongly installed, it will give you an error message that it didn't load correctly, and it will give you a log file and give you tons of information and suggestions in ways to solve your issue efficiently and quickly. Okay, and that's also a great thing that you get that help. So you can see all the way at the bottom here what needs attention. So if I have an error, a file is corrupt, then I would get the error message sorted. The errors even sorted for you. Okay, so if you have a scenery package and for some reason it is empty, it obviously will error out when you load it. You'll get the error and you'll get the message here, and so on. So all sorts of tons of information. I can also pop out my scenery. Let's see. Okay, let me see all of my author, and it will load. Boom! All of the author for XP images currently available to my simulator is here. As you can see, I have quite a lot. I do have 30 gigs of space. Haven't used it, and you can see information down here of the current. In some places I even have 2 or 3 layers that I can turn off, and so I have a sky storage alt photoreal enabled, and below that is author for XP ready to go, and below that again I have zone photo XP, which is a free provider of zoom level 16 tiles for an entirety of Europe. You can see it here as I move the cursor over the changes, right? So it really keeps you informed and let you know what you have. I didn't have this, and all we're doing were let me just find it here. If I didn't have that, and all I was had to work with was like the custom scenery folder, I would be looking at this, right? It's like, oh my god. Okay, so this where the world is this? And you have to go back, and you have to, yeah, I can't even imagine living without this tool. So that's why I really wanted to share this tool with you. You can also scan for problems. I haven't even started really digging into it. I have just used it as it is and for my needs, and it's absolutely brilliant, and for $9.99. So if this tool were with a 0 behind it, I think it would still be worth that price, because it saves you a ton of time. So basically, if you don't have it, if you're an X-Plane user, 2D or VR, doesn't matter. This tool is definitely something that you need to have in your toolbox. Can't stress that enough. So I can also check, okay, I want to see all the areas. I have overlays, so that's all my overlays here. And I want to, yeah, don't even want to mess around with it more, but you can get all sorts of information and make it the correct adjustments or corrections. So if I went out, do I have author before logging in? I want to fly to Tallinn. Yeah, I have author. Okay, but if I want to fly to Moscow, no, I don't have the author. Okay, maybe I'll do that flight another time and start working on authors for at least for Moscow area. So that's a way of keeping yourself informed. But you have a plugin, custom scenery, your plugins, fly with Lua scripts that are active actually even, and you can also turn the fly with Lua scripts on and off from here. So it does a ton of things for you. Okay. So basically, a tool that that I really recommend, and that's why I wanted to share it with you in this here video. So don't really have much else to say about that. Get sorted, get Xorganizer version 2. That's all I have to say. So thank you for watching, and if you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. It does help me build the channel, and it helps me create more content like this, and to spreading the good word about X-Plane and flight simming in general which is good for everyone, of course. So thank you very much for watching, and bye bye.